Previously on Stay in Your Lane.
The technology can't necessarily always solve a problem. For that, you need people. I think technology then begins to get limited, right? It can tell you, well, your truck's late, your truck's delayed. It may or may not be able to tell you the reason why, but it may not be able to get that truck started again. For that, you need to rely on people. So, to your comment about, well, some people would like technology to do everything, I think it can do a lot. I don't think it can do everything.
What we see, because technology is a wonderful thing, it's a great tool to use, but it doesn't work everywhere. And I think, Convoy was a great example of that, Joe. Would we talk about that about 18 months before they closed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Technology is a tool, and it's a wonderful thing. But when you look at the application in our industry, you need to really look at it from every perspective. And you have to understand motive, I think, is most important. I've shared that with you, Paul. I think your motive is usually where people get bottled up because I think the goal is to show that the technology is going to save money, right? And at the end of the day, that should be a result of it and can be part of the motive, but it has to bring its own intrinsic value to the scenario or situation or processes to drive the efficiency. And then we have to see many times things sound great and work great, but you can use AI to review contracts, but I wouldn't recommend it. No attorneys that I know of are using AI to review any contracts. It's not capable of at that level of solving those complex situations. I think it's a tool for data, and I think if you look at all technology, it's a way to get data processed so much faster and more efficiently. So if that's what your issue is, you need to get that information coming. Great value. AI is going to be a wonderful tool for you. But there are places in our industry where it doesn't do what I think a lot of people are wanting it to do. So understanding the technology and then what your motive is and your goal might send you to getting other technology or understanding that where the problem that needs to be solved that's underlying is. So you've got, I think AI is huge. I think we talk about API a lot in the industry now. From a rating perspective, it can be a good tool, especially if you're a shipper that ships, consistent volume, simplistic lanes or simple, one pick, one drops a lot of the time. But if you're a multi-stop shipper, it's another conundrum. So understanding what problem you're trying to solve and then looking for the technology that appropriately will help make it more efficient to solve, I think is a crucial part of that process. I agree 100%. People, the number one thing. I have yet to see, and I've said it before, I've never seen a phenomenal or a great company that didn't have great people. Right? I mean, it just that you never go in and say this is a great company, and these aren't amazing people. These aren't great people, right? You look and you go, wow, what a great hire he was, or what a great person they've developed. Or look at the support staff, they're all wonderful, right? That's normally what you see in a great organization that's doing well. But, I'd say that's number one. You have processes as number two. I think that's crucial. I agree with it 100%. Technology is what can you do to speed up the processes and bring efficiency, enabling process execution, and your metric for results driven. I think you've nailed it. But I think that we need to, really be honest at when we apply technology today in the industry, because I think it really has to work to be sustainable. And I think it has to really be a good fit, or else it's doing part of a job or a job to a certain level, and it will get replaced by better technology or better tools in the future very, very shortly. So, Paul, with your looking forward and doing a lot of 3, 5, and 7 year planning with companies, how do you take that technology piece in? Or are you thinking, or are you maybe specializing with companies that are a little bit behind and they want to get caught up?
The companies that I've been doing the strategic planning work with typically don't have plans. They tend to be younger companies, and they've been busy sort of surviving, right? Developing their business, getting a steady, core of clientele, and making sure that they'll be there, the next year. And that's not unusual. When you
Right.
start a business, you don't necessarily know where you're going to end up because you're just trying to be successful. So most of it is more forward looking to say, okay, where do we want to take the organization? But I would say that from a technology standpoint, it's not so much, well, what technology do I want to apply, but where is the company going to be, or where does the company need to be to remain a viable competitor in the space?
Right.
And what are the aspects of those components that we talked about that will need to be modified over the coming years? If you think about it, there are two sets of forces that impact an organization. One are internal, and the other are external. And good companies look at both. Now, they may not try to tackle all of them, but they'll pick out the ones that are most crucial to their success and say, okay, we've got to work on this aspect of the business if we expect to remain competitive and viable. Um, I've seen organizations that, well, no, we're fine. Everything's fine. Our sales are good, but what they fail to look at is, well, who's coming up behind them, who has a similar offering or similar product and maybe delivering it, more effectively. I mean, think about Amazon, right? I suspect that many of the retailers, particularly the ones that aren't here anymore, didn't see that coming. But if the good ones, and you point out Walmart, I mean, they adapted. Hey, you know what? We've got to have an Amazon competitive aspect, and Walmart.com is pretty good, right? They have third-party sellers, they have their own products, they have same day or next day delivery, and many of the same things that you see in Amazon. But they made a big investment, and I'm sure there was lots of discussion in Bentonville about what do we have to do to make sure that we don't lose our position in the market, to the Amazons. Um, Now you have some, I'll call it Amazon-like companies, right, in China that are coming in and trying to outdo even Amazon. So I think it's imperative that companies always look at where they want to be, what do they have to do within their organization, what do they do outside to influence those factors that will be favorable to their organization, and sort of plot a set of action steps to get there. And again, technology is part of that mix. I don't. I would never exclusively just focus on it, but clearly you have to ask yourself today: can AI evolve to a more valuable part of my offering?
Yeah, how do we apply it?
Right, and how do you apply it?
Yeah.
Maybe it will, maybe sort of. To me, I look at AI not dissimilar to autonomous vehicles. They're evolving, and I'm sure at some point in time we will have autonomous vehicles. I have no idea how long that will take, but I suspect it'll be longer than most people are projecting. But when you look at what some of that technology has done, forward radar collision avoidance system, lane departure, right, trailer tracking. I mean, all of the types of technology that are going to ultimately facilitate autonomous vehicles, those are being applied now, and they're
Right.
creating benefits now. So you don't have to wait necessarily for what I'll call the bright package, right? Everything's all wrapped up and ready to go. You can adapt aspects as they fit your business. And that's really the key, is determining what fits your business. And I think engaging all of your employees in that discussion is important, because your line personnel, they see the problems every day. They see the ones that repeat, they see the ones that come up once in a blue moon, and I think they can be an invaluable source of input as the management team says, okay, well, we need to improve this aspect of our business, and rather than making that decision in a vacuum, engage your line personnel to get their input. It will also help with buy-in.
Buy-in is crucial with line personnel.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a freestanding issue. I think it's part of the package, and it has to be incorporated as such.
You know, I think it's important now these days when you look at the workforce in the future. I mean, you got people coming in now; they're used to a lot of technology, using their phones, and they expect. So their expectation is, yep, I'm gonna run this business. My job's gonna be like I run my life. It's all gonna be on my phone or whatever. So I think you've got the melding of technology and people, especially with these new folks that are coming in as we hired them.
Yeah, that's a great point, Joe. The younger workforce, I mean, they grew up. I watched my grandson at dinner the other day sort of climb over to his mother and lift her phone out of her purse and log into it and start playing a game. And he's 3, and you're like, wow. I mean,
I'm surprised he wasn't playing chess.
well, he might have been. I couldn't see what game he was playing, but it's almost, I'll call it second nature, and
Yeah.
and an expectation. I mean, the joke where my parents live, and who are in their mid 90s, is if something's wrong with your TV remote or your phone, you call a local 12-year-old, and they'll come over and tell you how to fix what the problem is. So I think that, yeah, making your work environment technology comfortable, if you will, so that people come in and say, oh yeah, we have an app for that. Great. And most of the new technologies today do offer that. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it's tracking trailers or shipments or
Yep.
temperatures, that sort of thing. And I think that will sort of continue to evolve, and I think those offerings will get better as the technology evolves.
And they'll become more competitive on price.
Yeah, well, and certainly as production efficiencies go, and use goes. I mean, if you think about it today, a lot of these subscription services are pretty reasonably priced when you think about what you get for them.
Yeah, the value.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's right. In terms of the value.
Wow. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on. I can't say enough. Much respect, much appreciation. Until next time, gentlemen, stay in your lane.
Lane.